You see what I'm saying? Outside of it, the curse. The curse is inherent in that system. You can't walk in the world system. In the world system, it says, you can trash people and talk them down, to get better in life. Keep everything you have because that's all you got. I mean, that's the world system. Work, by the sweat of your brow and work your butt off and hope that maybe that's just enough to eat on. That's the world system. And and it's amazing that the idea of planting something in the ground and it growing has been around for all of since the world's been around. It's a normal idea, and man has understood it, and that's why we grow fruit. That's why we grow vegetables. And it's understood, but we've never really thought of it. Hey, maybe that was something that works in other things too. And I'm getting ahead of myself, so let me go here. The first thing that you've got to do, if you want to live in the Garden of Eden blessing, the first thing you got to do is realize you have to change your address. You have the choice. You have the choice. If you don't like where you're living, move. If you don't like where your life is right now, change it. That's it. I mean, that's all there is to it. I've said this before, and it's worth repeating. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting something different, right? People do it every day. They think that, I love that, you got the people who, they do the same thing. They work the same job. They've never got a raise, but they buy their lottery tickets, and maybe someday they might win, and become millionaires. Yeah, 1 out of every billion, trillion people. Yeah, that might be. But no, you can't, you have to do something different if you want your life to be different. Deuteronomy 30. I want to start in verse 14 here. Now I'm going to read this. All right. Okay. If the word is near you, it's in your mouth and in your heart, that you may observe it. See, I have set before you today life and prosperity, death and adversity. Choose, and I command you today to love the Lord your God, to walk in his ways, to keep his commands and his statutes and his judgments, that you may live and you may multiply. I'm not going to stand on the multiply one. I've had multiplied enough. I don't want any more babies. You may live and you may multiply, and the Lord your God will bless you in the land which you are entering to possess you. And then go down to, or let's just keep going. But if your heart turns away and you will not obey, but you are drawn away to worship other gods and serve him, I declare to you today that you will perish. You shall not prolong your days in the land that you are crossing the Jordan and entering to possess it. I call heaven and earth to witness against you today. I have set before you life and death, the blessing and the curse. So choose life that you may live, you and your descendants. Or what's amazing? That word descendant is your seed. What are you going to do with your life? Because it's not just going to affect you, it's going to affect everything that's beyond you. Everything you touch, everything you do, not just your descendants, your seed. What you have to plant in this world, whether it be children, whether it be, your work, the people you come in contact with, everything. If you don't choose life, you're going to affect everything around you. You have the decision. No one else can change you unless you choose to change. And that's what you got. You can't change anybody around you unless they choose to change. I could give you story after story after story of people I've run and talked to. And, the bottom line of it is that a person changes because they want to change. That's all there is to it. A person will be a homeless person until they choose to do something different. A person will be a sick person until they choose to do something different. It's the way life works. It's the way it is. You never will get anything that you don't choose to get. I mean, the thing is if you choose to do something different, then something different will happen. It's just an easy, basic thought, but yet it's so profound because that's one of the things people don't want to admit. People get comfortable where they're at. People learn to put up with things. Really, seriously. I mean, they do. We're humans. We have a way to adapt to some pretty nasty situations. We learn to put up with things. We learn to just have this victim mentality. Oh, it's this person's fault or that person's fault, and that's the way. No, you have to understand. And Creflo Dollar said it this morning. It really stuck in my head when he said this, that you have a divine choice. A divine choice. Literally, God has given you a God-given choice. You can choose life or choose death. You can choose prosperity or you can choose the curse. You can choose it. You have the choice. If you were raised, in a crappy situation with crappy parents and crappy this and crappy that, and you just think, oh, I can never go beyond what I... No, that's a lie. That's a lie. You can't. You have the choice. You can do something different. You say, okay, now I want to choose it. Well, what's the next thing you do? The next thing you do. You understand, first of all, like I said, you are the deciding factor. You are. You. And I know this has been kind of a theme over the last few weeks, but it's very important that we understand we are the masters of our destiny. God doesn't just grab a hold of us and throw us somewhere. If that was the way that it works, then we don't have to do anything. We can just sit here on a couch and just wait for God to teleport me somewhere. That's not how it works. It's not. It never was and it never will be. Paul, good gosh, look at Paul. Look what Paul went through. If God could have just accomplished what he wanted to accomplish, then he was just being cruel. Come on, look at Paul. Constantly going through something. But you know what, Paul, he went through that because he understood he had to get the gospel out. Because he knew that if he didn't do it, nobody else would. That's a pretty crazy thought. And that's the way Paul thought. That's the way Paul saw himself. He understood that he was the deciding factor in the Gentiles getting to know Jesus. He knew that he was the last hope for the heathen of the world. Us. The ones that are not part of the Jewish covenant. The people that were outside of the covenant. He knew that he was the only hope. And he knew that if he didn't go out there and preach and go through, literally hell and high water, that's what he went through. He knew that if he did not do that, then they would not hear the gospel and they would not be saved. And we wouldn't be able to sit here and have this discussion we're having today. You see? He owned it. And I was getting ready to go to the next point, but I got to stay here for a second. He owned it. He owned his responsibility. He understood that he was the deciding factor. He had the choice. See, and that's what we have to understand. We have the choice. We don't have to live outside of God's best, His blessing, the Eden blessing. We don't have to live outside of that. We can live in God's best, but it's up to us to choose. Now, okay, so let's go on to this. Go to 1 Timothy chapter 1. No, I'm sorry, 2 Timothy chapter 1. Okay, second point. If you want to live in Eden, you've got to get fear out of your life. You have to. You cannot live in fear. Fear does not mix. It's kind of like pouring milk in lemonade and trying to drink it. It's disgusting. Don't try it. 2 Timothy chapter 1. I remember, what was it? I don't know. We never drank it since we've been here, but I remember when we moved to Badera, we found this, was it Tampico? You ever heard of Tampico? Never drank it since then. No, it's, ugh. But it was like, oh my gosh, this stuff was just like, yeah, it's like $1 for a gallon of it. So it's like one step up from grape drink, where you get the big container of something that's purple colored. See, I want the purple stuff. But Tampico, and it was funny because let's just say, for some strange reason you're drinking milk and you forgot you're drinking milk, and somebody goes over and pours some Tampico. Oh yeah, see, Holly's reacting. It's the most disgusting thing you've ever seen in your life. It just doesn't mix. Tampico does not mix with milk. Go buy some and try it out, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's pretty disgusting. It's gross. Fear does not mix. They don't go together. It's like oil and water. You just can't mix fear with faith because they're exact opposites. I like the word they use in math. They're reciprocals, right? Is that the word they use, reciprocals, where something's, flipped upside down? Fear is perverted faith. That's what it is. Because think about it. What is fear? Fear is basically the substance of things you're fearing about and the evidence of things not seen. You haven't seen. What do you? Oh, I'm afraid. What are you afraid? Are you afraid of the dark? Why are you afraid of the dark? Well, because I don't know what's in there. Yeah, because you can't see it. So it's fear. I'm afraid of getting in a car accident. Have you gotten in a car accident? No, but I could. It hasn't happened yet. But I could if I'm driving down the road. I'm afraid of somebody mugging me, or I'm afraid of this or that, or someone breaking into my house. Has it happened? No, it hasn't. But I'm afraid of it. You see what I'm saying? Fear is basically perverted faith.